And welcome back. Got you inside our 2010 Ram 1500 in the evening hours, so hopefully it's a bit easier to see the XTOOL D8 you see here. And wanted to do a follow-up video to the high-level XTOOL D8 video we put out earlier. Now, for full disclaimer, there were a few individuals that did not like the content of the last video. Mainly, they felt it to be a little off-putting, as well as didn't like the fact that I didn't know the scan tool too well, and I was fidgetily navigating the screen, in other words, trying to discover where things are at. Now, this video, just like the last one, is going to be a high level. It is not a how-to. So if your expectation of this video is that you're going to see me say, if you want to get to D, click A, click B, click C, click on the exact buttons needed without having to hunt and peck for an item, then this video will not be for you. You may want to pause the video at this point and find another video that would be more to your liking, and hopefully a video that I put out in the future, more how-to based, will give you the information that you need. This is a follow-up to the high-level review video that we put out first, meaning part of the review is also figuring out how intuitive the scan tool is to find the information that we need to find without necessarily having to read through a big thick manual or contact the support for the individuals who actually produce the tool. Again, if I were going to shoot more of a how-to video, then yes, it would be more intuitive on my part to go, okay, click here, click here, click here, click here, so on and so forth. So FYI, if that's what you're looking for, that unfortunately will not be in this one. So with that being said, for those of you who are still here with us, again, this is going to be a follow-up to that first video in reference to, there were two items in the first video that I pointed out that I could not find inside the scan tool. One of them being the misfire counters, which I've had several subscribers, and thank you for this, that let me know that that data is inside the ODB2 option of the scan tool, not necessarily in the manufacturer side of it. So we're going to look and see if we can find that. And then XTOOL support reached out to me directly after the first video and took note that the codes, albeit that they did come up on the screen, did not have a status on them, meaning, is it an active code, a pending code, or a stored code? They've let me know, I believe it was about a week to week and a half ago, they sent me a follow-up email to let me know that inside the Chrysler module for this scan tool, they have updated it and it now has a status on it. I also had several members, subscribers and non-subscribers both, reach out to me and tell me that their scan tool actually did show code status, even though mine did not. Now, keep in mind that when I said in the previous video that it didn't have code status, remember, we were hooked up to a Ram 1500, which is why I have you in another Ram 1500 now, is that when different makes and models, like between Chrysler, GM, Chevy, Ford, when you're using this scan tool for different makes of vehicles, it's using different modules of the same software. So an option that it may not show in my video could very well show in your video or someone else's video. So when I say that an option isn't there, I'm not meaning that it isn't there for everybody. So with that being said, again, they emailed me back to let me know that the Chrysler module has been updated and we should now have status. So we're going to look for that. So we've got you powered up, got you plugged in the ODB2 port of our 2010, and we're going to look and see what we can find here. So I'm just going to go into auto scan, see if it can auto scan and verify the VIN number for us. Looks like it has 2010 1500. That is the correct VIN. And I'm just going to do an automatic scan. I'm not going to start the engine because I just want it to read the codes that are in the existing modules, but I do have the key in the on position so it can read everything. And you can see it going through now. Looks like it's going to interrogate about 21 modules, according to this. It's on module 8 of 21. And there we go. (13 of 21. So this may take a moment or two for this to finish. And remember, the first thing we're going to be looking for is when we go into one of these modules to look at the failure codes, do we see a status on this now versus before when we did not? And hopefully that's not glaring you out. It looks pretty good in the viewfinder. I'm using the lights that are the little push button map lights that it looks like the previous owner upgraded to the white LEDs. Because you notice there's no like yellow tinge to the light. So it's no longer running incandescents. So we're on 21 out of 21. It's doing that interrogation now. There we go. Okay, so inside of our powertrain control module, I'm just going to click on the diagnosis button. Tell it to read the trouble codes. And you can see that we have one. But we also do have a trouble code status now, which now says saved. Now, I believe on this particular scan tool, their statuses are saved, active, and suspended. And the differences between the two, and actually, I actually have my launch scan tool here on the side because I scanned the truck earlier because I wanted to see what they potentially meant by saved. So what I'm going to do on my launch over, and I got it over here on the side, is I just want to see if I go into the report for the powertrain control module. There we go. Yeah, stored. Okay. So saved on a scan tool that would read the code is active, stored, or pending. Saved looks like it translates to stored. So it looks like we have, it saw at one point an implausible right wheel distance signal received. In other words, there's something wrong with the ABS sensor in the right wheel, plausible right wheel. Interesting that doesn't say front or right, it just says implausible right wheel. Interesting. But anyway, on my launch scan tool, it says that is stored. On this one, it says saved. So it looks like saved equals stored. So I'm going to back up one. And what I want to do, and I was looking at this earlier, to be fair. Heated seat module. We're going to go into that one. Read codes. And the reason why I'm doing that is that the heated seat module, and again, I'm just comparing the report with my launch here. Now, BIE 9A1E. For example, once again, saved means stored, which means it saw a problem with it, but then that problem cleared, so it just stored the code for history, which kind of makes sense. Saved and stored is kind of the same meaning. Now, there's a way we can get this to fault out, and I'll show that to you. Now, I have to start the vehicle, but it shouldn't be too terribly loud. What I'm going to do is start it up so it'll allow me to engage the seat heater, and I'm going to turn the right seat on high. Now, shortly after I do that, it's going to fault out with this same resistance error. There we go. Now, I'm just going to turn the heat seater on full, and after a minute, it should turn off, which it already did. And if we go back, read our trouble codes, I'm just going to turn the engine off, turn it back to on. There we go. Sorry for the flicker, that's the LED. But you can now see that this says active and not saved. So saved equals stored, active equals active, and the only other state that I've seen on here has been suspended. Which I saw, and to be fair with you, when I was looking at this earlier, it may have additional entries other than that. I haven't gotten a definitive list from support yet, but I've seen active, I've seen saved, and I've seen suspended. And I saw a suspended one when it came to the PCM as far as multiple cylinder misfire. It was suspended until I ran the truck for a few minutes, and that suspended code completely cleared. So it looks like active here means active on my launch scan tool, and once again saved seems to correlate with a code that would normally just be stored. So on the launch, that takes care of active and stored, and the only one left would be pending. So maybe their suspended means pending, but obviously until I can get a definitive word back from support, I can't say that to 100%. But the good news is, long story short, we have trouble code status at this point, whereas before we did not. Now, per their support, if I back up, and yes, get out of the automatic scan, back up one more, I'm going to save that report. Now I'm going to go back in, I'm going to go into a diagnostics now, or diagnosis instead of auto scan. Go into ODB2, that's where they told me to go into. And it's going to try to communicate with the vehicle. I'm just going to do an auto scan to see if it can find the protocol to use. And this may take a few more minutes. It's going to go through the protocols that you see up here at the top of the screen. And I believe that this ODB2 would be what other scan tools would call generic ODB2 data. It looks like it's still trying. Okay, failed to connect. Interesting. So what I'm going to need to do then is email back their support and let them know that at least for this make and model of truck, which is a 2010 Ram 1500, that ODB2 was unable to use any of these protocols to negotiate with the truck itself. Now, just out of curiosity, if I auto scan, I was kind of looking at this earlier as well. If I pick one, let's say, first thing it's going to do is try it, and it'll eventually time out just like it did before. So it doesn't matter if you try picking these manually. Picking them manually doesn't get it to pick one versus where maybe auto scan didn't. It does the same thing. Eventually this will time out here, and we'll get the same error. Now what I'll do is when we're done here, I'll use my launch scan tool and kind of do the same thing and go into ODB2 data directly and see if launch can talk to this truck via ODB2. And then that will definitively tell me there must be something with this update, which you can see we're at version 21.20 of ODB2. And also to show you, if we go back and click on updates, and just let it do a quick check here to make sure that we didn't miss any. See my network connection speed. It's griping that my network connection speed is slow because we're outside and we are using wireless. So it's not the fastest right now. So all software up to date, which because we did update this earlier today. So we're not missing an update. So the good news is the first issue we addressed, which support confirmed to be an issue, was not having that status. And again, to me, that status is an additional layer of information or an assistance to let you know, well, is the code you're looking at something that's been there for a while, something that's just getting ready to set, or something that was there but has since cleared. So we now have that piece of information, which is great. But what we can't do currently is get into ODB2 like we've been instructed to. So maybe I didn't try it originally with this scan tool. Maybe it's something that hasn't worked ever up to this point, or maybe it's something that could have potentially just broke with the latest update. But I will email them and create another video and come back and kind of give an update and show that working again, based on what they come back with. So with that being said, again, that was just a quick down and dirty. I wanted to address the issue, one of the questions, since they did email me to let me know that module had been updated and that status is now there. I wanted to show that, and I also wanted to show that kind of a little bit of a difference there in the fact that some scan tools will refer to that as, again, active, stored, and pending, and it looks like XTOOL refers it as to active, saved, and potentially suspended. But again, I will email their support and just verify that that's the 3 categories they're using, or they're using other categories. I would like to see, and it's just my opinion, I would like to see maybe that gets remapped into being, active, stored, and pending, which is the verbiage that a lot of other scan tools would use for that code status criteria. But as promised, let me pause you and I'll bring you back. I'm going to get you zoomed into the launch, because what we want to do is verify that we can talk to this truck via ODB2 and it's not an issue with the vehicle itself. So let me get you set back up and I'll bring you back. One moment. And welcome back. So I got you zoomed in here. Again, this is our launch scan tool that you've seen in some of my other videos. I'm just going to go into what they call ODB/ODB2. Say okay, so you can see that's generic. And that beeping that you hear is it talking to the dongle, because it is a Bluetooth connection. So you can see it found a match. Right away, it found a protocol match. So that's our VIN number, and the MIL status, the readiness completed, is 8. Readiness not supported, 2. So let's see, data stream supported, 45. Nice. So if we do that, beautiful. Yep, clear, free train beta, that's IM readiness, live data, fault codes. Beautiful. Okay, so we can get in. We can see generic ODB2 data. That's our exhaust gases, catalyst monitoring, evap, purge, exhaust gas, okay. And there's our misfire. So it looks like, at least in this one, unless I selected wrong, looks like it's in mode 6. Misfire cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they all show a value of okay right now. So that was mode 6. If we back up, let's make sure that it is not elsewhere. So that's read fault codes, that's test results, yeah, control. Okay, leaving live data, reading fault codes, just for curiosity. Yep, no fault codes. Okay, fine. At least in that, there isn't. Clear fault codes and read vehicle information. Okay, so that's just vehicle, read the VIN number, calibration ID, beautiful. Okay, perfect. So we're definitely in the right spot there. So what we would be looking to do on the XTOOL would be to go into generic ODB2 data, which we know can be done because we're doing it with another scan tool, get into mode 6 data, and then be able to see these counters here. So awesome. So with that being said, hopefully this was helpful to you. Like I said earlier, you're going to see me fidget with it. Even with the launch scan tool, you're going to see me fidget with it, especially if it's menus that I haven't been in before. Sorry for the beeping. That's just to let me know to remember to unplug the Bluetooth dongle so that you don't leave it in a vehicle, because that would give you a bad day. So you will see me what some people call fidget with it, and that's, going in and kind of figuring out the menus and figuring out where items are located. Again, if that's something that kind of puts you off of the video, I apologize. The only thing I can say to that is that when I put a video out that would be labeled more of a how-to video, then you won't see a lot of that hunting pecking that you do when you see like me put out like a review type video. But with that being said, if you have not subscribed already, please consider doing so. We're growing at a nice clip, and I would like to keep that momentum going forward. And for all those who have subscribed already, I thank you. And with that being said, like I said, I will reach out to XTOOL support and let them know that the XTOOL D8, at least for the case of this make and model vehicle, which is a 2010 Ram 1500, I'm not saying that it's doing this to all of them, but at least in my case, it's not wanting to connect up with generic ODB2. And I will make a follow-up video when they get back with me with some more information on that. And to recap, we are seeing that code status on that screen currently. With that being said, thank you, and I'll bring you back for the next one. Talk to you later. Bye.